Today I have some quick tips for you about cutting strips with a rotary cutter, and I'm actually doing 4 layers of fabric. I have 2 different fabrics here that are folded in half, just the way they come off of the bolts. This is the center fold, and I'm cutting them the same exact width. So I'm gonna layer them to cut my time in half. So the first thing I wanna do is make sure I've got these folded edges lined up with each other exactly. And the next thing I want to do, let me get that lined up a little better. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to be starting to cut here on this first line. I want to make sure that all of my raw edges are beyond that line. Otherwise, they're going to be a little bit short. And sometimes when you've got layers, it can be hard to see. So I always err on the side of having maybe just a little bit too much past this cutting line to make sure that I catch all of that fabric when I make my first cut. And then I want to make sure that the fold is lined up exactly on this line, which is going to be perpendicular to my cutting line here. So I'm going to get my ruler and I'm going to make my first cut. And I have a nice fresh blade in here, so this is going to cut really nicely. And what I always do before I even move the ruler, I look at my scraps. And I make sure that I have all of the layers in my scraps, and then I know that I've caught all of the edges when I cut. If I don't have all of the layers, you can see that one got really skinny at the end there where I just barely got it, but I did get it. So if I don't have all of the layers in my scraps, I know that I need to push this fabric forward and recut to get that starting edge. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this. This is, I need this 4.5 inches. So I'm going to cut my 4.5 inches. And again, before, I know some people just keep moving and cutting. I like to, with each cut, I hold the ruler and I very gently pull this strip apart because I just want to make sure that I've cut through all of the layers. So I've done that, and then what I would do is I would just keep going down this fabric. But one thing I'm going to show you, when you're cutting multiple strips, you want to, every once in a while, take your fabric and realign it on the fold, because sometimes it doesn't stay exactly straight. And what can happen is you get strips which aren't exactly straight. So I always, after a few cuts, will take it, I will reline it up on the folds, and then I will cut another kind of a waist strip there to make sure that my edges are perfectly straight. If you don't realign your fabric every once in a while, you'll find your strips, this one's nice and straight, but you can find that your strips have like that weird V shape to them because the fold wasn't on the line exactly. So just remember, when you're cutting multiple strips, every once in a while you do want to take your fabric and re-straighten it, cut off a new waist strip there, and that little bit of scrap is going to help you to not have that weird V shape in your strips.